Hello there, my very good friends. Andy Murray here for What Culture Wrestling outside Wembley Stadium. After AEW All In 2023, we found the one quiet spot in the entire neighborhood. We're going to tell you what went down on the show. Not entirely, however, because as we were filtering into the building, getting into our seats, what happened? Jeff Jarrett was taking a guitar shot from Grado. Paul White was in the ring. Anthony Ogogo, shout out to Gogo. I can't run through what happened here in good faith because we arrived a little bit late to see it. But we'll go back and revisit it because it looked like fun. What we can go over and what we can begin with is MJF and Adam Cole winning the bloody Ring of Honor tag team titles from Aussie Open in the proper opener of the evening. Sensationally fun match. Obviously adding a lot of extra intrigue to that night's main event. It was just a fun match across the board. We didn't get the gratification of the boom and the stuff in the entrance because that bloomin' Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher were being right buggers and cut it off. How dare they? Well, they got their comeuppance and they didn't leave with their titles. Richly deserved. Remember, we're not going to do things in too much detail here. Ups and downs will be along a little bit later on. I'm just telling you what happened on the show. After that, Hook, Jack Perry, that's his name, FTW World Championship. This was completely nuts. Jack Perry came out in a stupid limousine and he got suplexed on it, on the windscreen, broke all the glass, got himself cut up, the silly little sausage. This was a lot of fun as well. The rivalry in general has been throughout the whole thing, and Jack Perry was really over as a heel as well. Everyone was over on this show, to be fair, but shout outs to Jack. It's nice to see him getting that reaction. Hook regains the FTW World Championship in this match, gets his belt back, gets his dad's belt back. It's a good time across the board. Just crowd pleasing stuff on this 0 hour pre-show. You love to see it. You know who else you love to see? If you're 50% of wrestling fans, CM Punk. How do you open the show? How do you open a show like this? Maybe a bit trios action. Maybe a little spot fest. You know, fun, fast flowing action. Nah, Punk and Joe. And this was my favorite match on the whole show. Spoiler alert. I loved this. This was a hoot in every sense of the word. You got the violence, you got the blood, you got Joe throwing Punk through the announce table, like the bottom of it, like he was a piece of trash. You got Hulk Hogan spots. What the hell was going on? This was a total blast. Samoa Joe lost to CM Punk, who regained the X Championship. And then apparently choked out Jack Perry backstage or something like that. News is weird. Check out tomorrow's news video. That's going to be a fun one. What happened after that? You think they've started the show with a big name in CM Punk. Maybe they'll save the other big names till the end of the show. Maybe they'll space them out. Maybe they'll pace this card. They did pace this card insanely because it was the bloody Elite next. Awesome. Kota Ibushi, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega versus Bullet Club Gold, of course, and Konosuke Takeshita. What a fun time this was. The Guns were a riot on the outside, just watching them from our seats, twatting about the whole show. Kenny was hugely over, maybe the biggest babyface pop of the night. The outcome of this match was Takeshita pinning Omega, which will probably lead to a singles match, maybe All Out, which, lest we forget, is in 6 days. It's completely crazy to think about these things, but it was another fun match. Kota Ibushi's starting to make me a little bit sad. I'm not going to lie. Need a big showing from that gentleman in his next match. But, hey, I'm not going to criticize too deep. What happened after that, my good friends? It was FTR versus the Young Bucks. We're front-loading the heck out of this show. It wasn't FTR taking the victory, regaining the World Tag Team Championships, proving themselves the best tag team of all time per the storyline they've got going on here. And look, it's really hard to kind of pick matches like this apart when they're so intricate and you're in a stadium and you're enjoying it in a completely different way. But this, to me, seemed on par with their second match, which, in my opinion, was one of the absolute best matches of last year. This was sensational stuff. FTR retaining, that would be the correct letter to use in this sense. I almost used the wrong word again there. Cancel it. They picked up the win, and afterwards we got what looks like the start of another heel turn from the Young Bucks as they rejected the handshake. For me, that's good news. Matt and Nick probably a little bit better as heels than they are as babyfaces. That's not to say they're not good babyfaces, but as heels, completely ridiculous. Great stuff across the board. From there, I've forgotten what we had, so I'm going to need to read my notes quite extensively and awkwardly. Stadium Stampede, baby. I was a bit concerned about this one before the show. I'm not going to lie. I was wondering, The past two, obviously in the second one, we had the live element at the end, but for the most part, these are pre-taped things, and they're all over the place, and they're backstage. How are you going to pull that off live? How are you going to do that without pissing the crowd off? Just put Eddie Kingston in it turns out, and everything's awesome. This was just a riot. It was a little bit hard to follow at times, obviously, because you had various people disappearing backstage at various points. Wheeler Yuta put Chuck Taylor through a railing. Barry Barricade taking a pounding backstage. Nobody expected that. Eddie and Claudio brawled all over the place as you'd expect. And Eddie was an absolute hero in the finish to this, returning after a long period of inactivity. Babyfaces took the win. Best Friends and Orange Cassidy enjoying a nice moment on the ramp and everything else. There was some weird moments in here. That Penta disappearing to change his costume was fun. It was fun. Good to see Santana and Ortiz back in action as well. Santana looks huge. Good for that guy. He's put on some beef, my friends, and I love to see it. From there, from the Stadium Stampede, we had the Women's World Title, the four-way match. This was super interesting. We're in the UK. Saraya wins the belt on home turf, surrounded by her family. She entered the ring with them. They celebrated with her afterwards. There was a spot in the match where Toni Storm accidentally hit Saraya Knight. There you go. I got the ring name right. Paige's mum, Saraya's mum. That led to kind of a split in the Outcast stable. They were fighting throughout that. There was an incredible spot in here where Toni Storm was in Saraya's submission and Britt Baker came across with just a ridiculous stomp. And it was good to see Shida kind of enjoying this big old thing here as well. That's a lot of noise in the background. I wonder who could command a reaction like that. I would slap my head, but I've got two full hands. There you go. She won the belt in England. And we moved on to Darby Allin and Sting versus Swerve Strickland and Christian Cage. What up turds indeed, because Sting and Darby Allin came out to Seek and Destroy by Metallica, and I think I marked out for that harder than anything else on the show. There was a point early in this match where Sting kind of jacked his leg, and the three of us, myself, Adam Nicholas, and Phil, were sitting there going, is he legitimately injured? Because he looks like he's hurting. And he disappeared for a little while, but he came back in. He hit an elbow drop through the table. It took 2 attempts, but it Sting, so it was fun. There was all kinds of other fun spots in here as well. There was a moment where Swerve looked like he was going to drop the coffin lid on Sting, but he'd thrown the baseball bat into the coffin, and Sting used it to... Simon Miller is so over, man. It's crazy. A riot of a match, up to par with your usual Sting blasts. I think if you're into the 64-year-old legend doing this stuff, you will love this. And if you don't, we're not friends. Obviously, the babyfaces won. They put Swerve in the casket, in the coffin for the victory. Chris Jericho, man. What can you say about Chris Jericho? He's not only content with having a big match in front of 80,000 people, he's playing himself to the ring as well. Fozzy doing Judas. I will say we had a very interesting version of that in our row, but I'll have to save that one for a little bit later on. Either way, look, I thought this match was going to be sick before the show. I know there was a bit of cynicism. I know it's Jericho, and sometimes his week-to-week creative can be a little annoying, but this was really great. This was completely absurd. Obviously, it's a Will Ospreay match, right? And Will Ospreay is going to come in and do insanely athletic things. The thing about that is that his opponent has to be kind of just as athletic in those spots because they have to take those moves and flip around with him. And Jericho did that. There was a few times where Jericho was like moving in kind of slow motion, but to me, that kind of adds to the charm. When you see him going for like an Oscar and you don't know what the heck he's trying to pull off, he's halfway between doing two moves. To me, that's part of the ramshackle charm of pro wrestling. Jericho put him over. He did the whole raised middle finger gimmick, put me away, you scumbag. And Will Ospreay did indeed put him away afterwards. We got a bit of a moment with Sammy Guevara and Jericho. Bit of a rift there. Sammy tried to console him, tried to prop him up, tried to help him. Jericho went, nah. Pushed him away, left the ring. What a dickhead, man. Who likes that guy? What have I become? Anyway, what did we have after that? People are trying to phone me. I'm trying to record a video. The Acclaimed. I was very sad when this happened. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass winning the Trios World Championships from the greatest trio in wrestling history and in the history of trios in general. F.U. Cream. The House of Black putting the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass over. Look, it was the right thing to do. I'm a mark for the House of Black. I'm a mark for the Acclaimed as well. I love them.
Everybody loves the Acclaimed.
There you go. In London, everybody loves the Acclaimed. House of Black had a wonderful white attire. They looked absolutely resplendent. The match was a lot of fun as well. The Julia Hart spot, haha, very funny. It was just a lot of cool stuff. There was a moment where Malachi got hit in the head accidentally by Brody's chain. It was really cool seeing Brody's being really over in front of 80,000 people. At the end of this, House of Black, moment of respect, legends handing over the belts. We might be spooky boys, but we know a bit of respect, lads, and you earned that victory. Love to see it. There was a bit of a promo afterwards as well, with the Acclaim being really nice about Daddy Ass and going, hey, we told you we were going to win some belts. It was a nice moment. We did a big scissor. Great stuff across the board. And after that, the main event. Wow. What can I possibly say about this thing, right? How can I possibly condense this into like a minute of summary? The answer is I can't, so I'm not even going to try. This was perfect. There's no way this could have been any better. The way they flipped the face-heel alignment expectations into making you root against Adam Cole and for MJF, the biggest scumbag in the universe. Incredible. The way they messed with you completely by pulling temporarily a draw when they both pinned each other and then flipped it straight back in to continuing the old switcheroo, I guess. Adam Cole went, no, 5 more minutes, Max. Max grabbed the microphone. He said no. Adam, 5 minutes isn't long enough. We're going all the way till we get a winner in effing Wembley. What a pop. What a pop. All kinds of skullduggery on both sides, but again, the way they played with the crowd was just completely insane. MJF retained the title in the end, the small package on Adam Cole, after using the ring and putting it back in his boxer shorts and all of this stuff. There were various moments where Roddy Strong tried to get involved, being all grumpy, throwing the belt around. The Kingdom were involved at the end. There was a tease after the bell as well, where it looked like Cole was going to blast MJF with the belt after MJF had pleaded with him. It didn't happen in the end, and Roddy Strong ran away with the Kingdom. Cole and MJF embraced. And I don't know if this was actually on the pay-per-view broadcast, but you probably know about it by now. They're coming back to Wembley next year. Okay, we've just had the biggest show ever. Let's do it again. Why not? Tony Khan was in the ring going, ooh, 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 ooh. That's as deep as I'm going on my impression of Tony Khan right now. I don't know if that made air. If it did, sick. That's immortalized forever. His delivery is truly special. I am so glad that the owner of the second biggest wrestling company in the world is just not some boring, normal keyboard man. He is a freak just like us, and that's what makes him fun. But hey, that was all in. That's what went down. Sorry for the lack of usual play-by-play. I don't remember things too well, my friends. Great show. Let us know what you thought in the comment section below. All kinds of reviews coming up as well. See ya.